Russia's war with Ukraine is another conflict that the Trump administration has vowed to end, but efforts to do so are struggling to gain traction. Ukrainian officials say at least 18 people were killed and dozens were wounded overnight in what has been described as a massive attack on the capital. An urgent search is underway for anyone who still may be trapped. CNN's Salma Abdelaziz following this story for us. And the Russian attack comes as a Ukrainian delegation is set to meet with US officials on Friday for talks in ending this war. Where are we at this point? What more can you tell us?
Well, if you're asking, Becky, how President Putin has responded to these peace efforts, well, President Zelensky says, here is your answer. One of the largest attacks on Kyiv since the start of the conflict. Nearly 600 Russian drones and 30 missiles fired overnight at the capital. In some parts of the city, people were under air raid sirens for 9 hours. At least 19 people killed so far, among them several children. The youngest is just 2 years old. There are still rescue workers digging through the rubble, Becky. There was 500 rescue workers and 1,000 policemen on the ground. It gives you a sense of the scope and scale of this attack, which hit residential buildings, kindergartens. It even struck a European Union mission building and a building for the British Council. And both the EU and the UK have called Russian diplomats to ask them about these attacks. That's why you've heard President Zelensky today pointing to these attacks and saying, look, it is clear that President Putin is not serious about peace. He says that President Putin is choosing ballistic missiles over the negotiating table. And of course, the timing of this is extremely important, Becky. It comes just as EU defense ministers are supposed to be meeting in Copenhagen today and tomorrow to discuss security guarantees. There's also further meetings at the White House as well to discuss those security guarantees. This would be a backstop measure, essentially, that if Russia and Ukraine are to reach a peace deal, these security guarantees would provide Ukraine with that insurance if it were attacked again. But Russia has already said it does not accept security guarantees it's not involved in, and it will not accept any foreign forces on the ground. Now, as we see these continued attacks take place on the ground and this diplomatic effort stall, what we're watching here is a tried and true Russian response. Diplomatic efforts stalling while the offensive on the ground intensifies and those drones and missiles continue to rain down on Ukraine.
Salma, following the story for you. Salma, thank you.